aliens and they're living in your town. They have arrived. They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of aliens? Well, you should.
Welcome to the Weird and Whatever podcast. How the heck is everyone doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Let's do a little roll call. Do we have one Vicky here?
Yes, here.
How are you?
Good.
Producer Denny's you here?
Yeah, I am. What's up, guys?
Is Mr. Ryan Beckett here?
Cricket.
Where's your cricket? You're the sound effect guy.
I just made it with my mouth.
Yeah, Ryan Beckett will not be joining the podcast today. I can't understand what our producer is saying. She's trying to tell us something. I think they're having a tough time hearing you, Denny's. Give us a nice...
Ooh, can you guys hear this? Nothing?
Oh, you're not in front of the camera.
Oh, yeah, I got to move it.
We're struggling today for the Weird and Whatever podcast. I would love to get into a lot of stuff, a lot of emails, a lot of stuff about animals. People really love talking about the animal stuff and whether, one of the emails we've got, in fact, it was actually a couple emails. People wanted to talk about, how if you are... If you're presented with a situation where you're about to get murdered, there's fear going through your body, and
Right.
we all can feel fear. Do animals feel that? Of course they do. But when you kill the animal and that fear is going through their body, does that meat now that we consume after the fact, does it have fear in there? Does it have the essence of
I've seen this theory
yes,
before.
a soul that was, we all want to go when we die. We want it to be natural. I always picture myself out in the woods with a bunch of monks, 68 degrees. they're chanting, and it's real peaceful. But if you are scared about to get murdered or about to get hunted, you're gonna have all that fear. What are your guys' thoughts on something like that? Do we eat fear?
I personally don't think so. If that were the case, then we'd be walking around fearful all the time, especially if you consume meat all the time.
Well, I feel like as a generation, we are fearful. We're constantly worried about what's happening across the borders. The only reason I would think that it could work, and I mean, actually, fear might be a weird term to throw into it, but like I could see it working in the sense that when you have a chemical reaction in your brain, it releases different endorphins, it releases different chemicals into your muscles and your body to help you cope with whatever you're dealing with. So if that's left in your body when you pass, I'd imagine that would somehow translate to...
That's exactly what they were saying. They're because we talk about spirit and all of these things where you're talking about shape shifting and connecting with other animals, and there's some kind of vibration going on. What if there is some vibration going through that animal that you're eating? I can see the theory. I get the science behind it.
I can get the science behind it and people thinking that, but honestly, some of these things, if we think about it all the time, we'll just go crazy. And some things you just have to accept. I just ate a burger. I'm not going to feel the fear of the cow.
But to Denny's point, though, some could argue, yeah, there is actually a lot of fear. People, how do we know the reason why we're not struggling with stuff? And I'm not at all getting on a soapbox and saying don't eat meat or nothing like that. I just thought it was an interesting theory that when animals die, if they're getting slaughtered and they're fearful, does that affect our food?
I mean, it's certainly a theory.
Well, wouldn't you think if you passed on, Vicky, let's say you passed on when you're 93 in a peaceful way, wouldn't your energy be different than somebody breaking your house with an axe?
Yes, absolutely. That moment right before death is going to be peaceful as opposed to fearful, violent, or something like that.
So
I
wouldn't
think
you
that
say
does affect.
that passing could do something like that?
Right, but you're also, I mean, I don't know the whole process about animals when they go to be slaughtered for all that. I'm not sure exactly the process. Maybe the process isn't as fearful as we think it is. Like when you have an animal that you put to sleep, it's actually very peaceful. They just give them an injection and they go to sleep. So I'm not sure. I'd have to know more about the process in which they're killed. I know I had a neighbor that used to kill his own chickens back in the day, and the chicken knew nothing about it. It was there, and then all of a sudden it had no head, and I don't think it had a whole lot of time to think about it.
And it's really not even an animal versus human kind of a thing. And I'm just saying, I think we have different. I think you could have a different. When you're crossing over, if you're getting murdered or if you're going in your sleep, like you said, the
Right.
dog got put to sleep. Well, that's with a needle. It's peaceful.
Right.
If an animal's getting slaughtered and it knows it's about to get slaughtered, fear is pumping through their veins.
for sure.
It's way
Adrenaline.
different.
There's all sorts of things pumping through there. That's a cool theory, though.
I thought it was interesting. That's why I brought it up.
I've thought about it because the Native Americans used to take down animals in the hunt, and they would say a prayer as they were killing it.
Right.
And you wonder if that was to easily pass it on to the next realm.
It's weird because we talk about animal stuff and animal rights, and and you've got people who are so
People
pro.
are like, "Oh, animals, this, animal." And it's like, why are you so down on animals?
Well, yeah, you do. You got two camps. You got people who really are fighting for animal rights, and they think that animals have a genius, a purpose. They're making it all work. And then there's other people who say, "Shoot the cow. I want the burger," and on with my day.
And the animals
they
are
don't think
lesser.
about that, and it's one of those subjects. Anytime we bring anything up animal on the morning show, it gets controversial. You can't even say a cat is an asshole.
If you talk about what people eat, it gets like insane.
Right.
I mean, vegetarian is scoffed at by most people, and vice versa. People who eat meat, the vegetarians hate them.
It kind of goes with the whole what we talked about last week. People get mad when you don't say stuff they are believing.
Because we're always taught that this is this, this is this, this is this. When you enter the real world, nothing is what it seems. It's only there to prepare you. And of course, you're going to come across constantly people who disagree with you. So I think I can see why people, and you wonder if the fear of that coupled with the meat.
I agree. Do you have anything else to add on to that, Vicky?
There's the contradiction too, where people are like, so they're talking about chickens and cows and stuff, but yet they'll eat shrimp. That's
Yeah.
still a living creature.
sure.
For sure.
Well,
if it's going to be that way, make sure it's across the board. Don't say, "Oh, I'm a vegetarian, but I eat fish and shrimp."
I get
know?
it.
Well, it depends. Some people are It depends on why you're a vegetarian. Some
For
people
sure.
do it for diet reasons. Some people do it for spiritual reasons. Some people do it for health reasons. So it really kind of depends. My whole thing is I love to, don't mess with the horses. Don't mess with the cows. Screw the roaches. Screw the rats. So we talked about
yeah.
this before. There's just on the chain of animals, some just really get screwed.
What's weird too is like how we so acceptingly eat cow. Like cow is like the number one eaten, but a horse is very similar. And like you talk about eating a horse, people are like, "Whoa, eating a horse."
You're a disgrace.
Yeah, exactly. How did that get separated? I mean,
But didn't they use horse a lot, like in France, especially?
yeah.
Didn't they use horse for meat?
I guess it's regionally. I think horses originally were Eastern or like European, right? British areas, which is why they were able to. They could domesticate animals locally there, which is why they evolved so quickly, they say.
Yeah, just to apologize to all the ladies out there, for the eye candy. This is going to be a very less handsome podcast. Ryan Beckett will be back next week. He's out of town. I started
I
to
was
talk
gonna
about
ask why
that.
he wasn't here.
Yeah, he's out of town. He's doing some cool traveling awesome thing.
Hey, but I got to tell you guys, I went to my son's birthday party, and two of his friends that I knew forever, they knew about the podcast. And then my daughter came in and she goes, "Oh, are you trying to act like you're famous?" And his friend Jason, I'm giving you a shout out, Jason. His name's Jason. He says, "Listen, you don't understand. If she hangs out with Jay Bird and Denny's, she is famous." Okay?
Come on. Denny's is more infamous.
No, yeah.
Let's go through a couple emails here. This one is kind of fun. The folklore with like stuff like Light as a Feather,
Light as a
Bloody
Feather, Stiff as a
Mary,
Board,
yeah.
all
Yes,
that
Stiff as a
kind of
Board.
stuff. What do you guys think? Light as a Feather, I know it's a fun little kid game. Is there something to that, Vicky?
It could be a matter, we've talked about energy, and if you had enough people around that person concentrating, it's possible.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, so I was doing some research on that one because that one's weird, like the origins of
The Light as a Feather?
Yeah, they all come from different stories from the past. All of these tales, like you were saying, Bloody Mary as well. But it's pretty cool. But they became cult classics from either cinema, or like well, so the Ouija board, if you take, that's been around forever. They dated all the way back to China as a different form of Ouija board, and it was banned actually from the entire dynasty, the Song dynasty, because they thought it was dark spirits. And then Hasbro buys it and makes it a game.
People say, "Oh, it's a toy. You can buy it at Toys R Us. There's no way you can invoke spirits from a Ouija board." I mean,
But if you think about it, I mean, essentially all you need is a board and some sort of thing to
Yeah.
determine what you're pointing at.
Right, it doesn't have to be from that company. You could write letters on a board yourself. It's the act of calling something that's not already there. And it's your negative ones that are going to jump on that and try to answer and take over, because people develop a relationship with the person. There are people who are lonely, and your lower level demonics and things like that know they're lonely, so they come to this person when they use that board and they have a relationship. The more they speak to them, the more power they get.
How do they know they're lonely? Is it because they're viewing them and watching them
Yes.
and witnessing all of this?
Right. It may have been innocent enough where they came through that first Ouija board conversation and immediately they picked up on this person and what they could do to manipulate them, and people actually will run home, grab their Ouija board to talk to this person that they've developed a relationship with.
I kind of get it. I mean, if I was on a Ouija board and all this shit was working out and I'm really getting legit communication, of course I'm going to run and use the Ouija board. Wouldn't you?
Well, so funny enough, I found an article where in World War I, they were using the Ouija board to ask dead soldiers what they saw before they died to see if they could find out the lay of the land when they sent scouts over.
So they really legitimately use this as a tool.
For sure, forever, all the way up until, I mean, more recently as people got more like cynical, I feel like it was deemed as an evil item to possess because of the power of it.
Do you think cinema and social media has made us more cynical towards all this stuff just because you've got so much fake shit out there? And think about 15 years ago, if you wanted to get a message across to a bunch of people, man, you had to do a lot of other stuff. Right now you hit a button and everybody knows about what you've eaten.
I mean, there's a theory out there that media is used as a form to overall desensitize people towards horrific events.
It's
so
worked.
that it no longer
It's
you
worked.
care about it. And then that makes it easier for control over people because you now have seen everything. You're like,
You can't say that we're not more desensitized by this stuff. I mean, I
we're
feel like I
insanely
am.
desensitized.
I remember, I would say 15 years ago, you show me a picture of a dead body on social media where there's blood.
oh, it shook you.
It would shake me. Now it's on my. I literally was on my feed yesterday.
You can't go through without seeing
Someone
it.
posted a thing where it's 5 mangled bodies in a car accident, and they were trying to make a message. And I get what you're trying to do. Not everyone wants to see that.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty-
really heavy for a lot of people for a Facebook feed.
And especially for those families.
I completely agree.
Yeah, but there's a theory that media and overall they're trying to desensitize everybody.
It's not been a good round for the media. People really look down. And I don't consider us the media for some reason.
Oh, yeah, for
I think we're
sure.
just some goofballs
Yeah.
trying to, do some fun stuff. But people don't look at it that way. They think if you got a microphone, you're talking to the masses. You are the devil.
Oh, for sure. Well, now with the internet, anything's media. You'll read an article and you're like, oh my God. And then you look at the site and you're like, what is this? Like, lamesite.com.
Talking about, and it's not even a hate email towards Vicky at all, but it's a good point, and it kind of talks about what we're talking about right now, why everyone's so cynical about stuff. Dear Weird and Whatever, I love all you guys. I am not a believer, but think your podcast is fascinating. However, those EVPs don't prove much or anything at all. There is too much noise in the background. Plus, nobody was there. So how are we supposed to know it wasn't compromised or wasn't altered in any way? I'm not saying Vicky is lying by any means. I just wish there was a better way to prove that ghosts are real. Are EVPs the best way to prove the existence of ghosts, or is there something else out there? And I do see that point. They don't know you
Right.
like I know you. I don't think you're a liar.
Right.
But I'm also not 100% sold on EVPs either.
Right. Well, you have to be part of the investigation to know that. And quite frankly, when we're talking about a skeptic, there is nothing I can do to prove to them that ghost exists. That's why I don't have evidence on my page. That's why I don't beat a dead horse, because there's no reason for me to.
And you're basically saying, yeah, I get why you think.
I absolutely.
Yeah.
And if anybody, I think this is a point maybe I haven't made so far. I am skeptical myself. It really has to hit me in the face, and I listen to those hundreds of times, literally hundreds of times, before I mark it as a true EVP.
Yeah, I've seen the process, or at least some of the process you do to weed out the crap. And what Vicky does is you actually go into a situation when you're investigating something and you try to disprove it immediately. That's
Yeah.
your first thing.
Yeah.
And if you can't disprove it, that's when you think you've got something, correct?
Exactly. I don't go in thinking there's something there. I go in thinking there's not anything there.
Until
And
they
I'm-
give you a reason.
I am the first one to dismiss. No, I'm sorry, that was the TV. We just turned the air off and the TV's crackling because of that. Or there's a bug outside and it's tapping up against the window. I am very critical when it comes to calling something paranormal.
Someone asked me, how do they become a legit ghost person? They think it's cool that we have like
That
a
there's like a ghost team.
yeah, we got a team kind of a thing going on. If we need equipment, you've got equipment. But they also expressed in their email, I don't have, the ESP. I don't have.
You don't have. I didn't think I had it when I started. You don't have to, because we do look at things from as much as you can a scientific level, considering the subject matter. We want people like Denny's, like Mr. Beckett. We got a
Mr.
shout out. He's not here.
Call him Mr. Handsome. That's what he's known.
we want people like that. I don't want someone who's going to hear every single tap and go, oh, it's a demon.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
not what it's about. So the best thing you can do is try to find a legitimate team and get experience. You can contribute anything. The other day, one of the people who listened to the podcast that I did a reading for, he's been joining my team for investigations. And I had a new REM pod, and I thought that it was broken because I couldn't get the antenna to stay.
REM pod, what is this?
It's the device that it's basically a motion sensor, and it's a little round device that has all these little lights in the antenna that comes up.
Did you use that at my place for one of them?
No.
You did? Oh, is that
I don't
new?
think so.
It's newer stuff. You had some kind
I
of
think
weird.
We used the Ovilus. Maybe we did have one. for
Okay.
that, but I just got a new one. So anyway, he hasn't experienced anything. He wants so badly to experience something, but he came and he just pushed the antenna further in than I did and fixed it. And I said, congratulations, you're the new tech guy on the team. So even though he's not giving us anything from a psychic perspective, and honestly, if you have too many people with too much ability walking around, they can interfere with
I would
each
say they
other.
probably cloud each
and
other.
Yes, you can mess it up. I do not do my walkthroughs with anyone else.
Well,
I go by myself.
It's like putting 9 A-listers in a movie.
Yeah.
On paper, you're like, this is going to be great. And then all of a sudden, you've got Ocean's 13.
Yes, exactly.
Anything to add on there, Denny's?
I think the only word in there is like proven that stuck out to me, because I mean ESPs are probably more so to find life, not necessarily to prove it.
ESP, do you mean?
ESPN? No. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Are you talking? What are you talking
the
about?
EVPs.
EVP. Okay, all right.
I see the sports on in the corner.
I'm not trying to correct you. I wasn't sure what you meant.
Yes, the EVPs. Like, so everybody's so black and white with, does this prove it? Does this disprove it? That's all anyone cares about. There's so much in between in there where you could find something new, find something to explore further, opposed to just trying to prove or disprove.
And the
something.
stuff you can't prove, with black and white, this and that, it's almost like doing one of those perceptuals or one of those surveys. You can take and get any kind of information that supports your theory if you look hard enough for it.
For sure.
You can totally finagle away and say, all right, I want to... It's like when radio stations brag about having the #1 hits and all... I mean, no, you're not. And it's just the way... You're number one from 7:15 to 7:18.
Yeah.
But it's what... However, whatever you can do to make yourself
For
look
sure,
good
man.
and support your evidence.
It's just bias. It's called bias.
Do you guys know what a breatharian is? Breatharian?
The breatharians.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Go ahead, explain it to the nice people.
So I've read multiple articles on this, and I can't tell if they're real or if it's just somebody trying to get attention. Because, I mean...
I hear you. Again, we're not watching these people eating with their diet, but go ahead and tell people what it is.
So essentially, it's people that believe that you can live off of air and the energy of the world opposed to actually eating food.
Have you heard of this, Vicky?
No.
This one couple right here. I gotta look at these notes. They said husband and wife.
I think they went like 9 years.
Yeah, they believe that food and water aren't necessary, and humans can be sustained solely by the energy of the universe. And they're talking about how they have a 5 and 2-year-old daughter. They do the same thing. They've survived on fruit, a piece of fruit and vegetable broth, just 3 times per week since 2008. They're just eating broth and a little bit bite-sized vegetables 3 times a week, and they're living on the energy of the universe.
And they say they save a bunch of money because they don't have to buy food.
Well, definitely saving money.
But are they happy? Are you happy? I get that you have the movement and like, oh, the universe, it tastes delicious, and it's all I need.
Here's the thing is I've only managed to ever find like 5 or 6 articles on this, which is so little compared to the entire internet.
It's definitely a
It's such a niche-y thing.
it's a niche thing, but it's a growing movement. Do you think,
wonder, yeah, it's a growing movement. Well, there was that one woman who I believe she was from Russia, she was a model, and she was living off of only air and water, and I think she made it somewhere upwards of close to a year, but then she had to get hospitalized. So you're
Well,
wondering,
that does not
yeah,
work.
that's what I'm saying.
my
So,
God.
but these guys have been doing it for like 9 years, and they have 2 kids. The woman during pregnancy did not eat anything.
Wow.
Like, how did that work?
But are they full of shit? You know
I
what
don't
I
know.
mean?
That's what I
'Cause
can't
they're getting
figure out.
articles written about them.
That's what I can't figure out.
Do you think it's possible that someone can tap into the energy of the universe to feed their soul, and that's all they need?
For that long, I have a hard time believing it. I mean, you would think that if they did studies on them, they'd be now malnourished or something. I just can't imagine that they've been able to. I understand that your mind, because we've talked about it before,
It's powerful.
how powerful it is, and they could be altering their body somehow in order to only exist on those few pieces of fruit and broth, but I don't know.
It's like I had a buddy, and he swears by this, and I don't see how it's possible, but he's not a liar. He's definitely not you know this guy. You would stand up for this guy too. But he said he dated a girl who only pooped 1 time a month. That's 12 times a year.
Yeah.
That's impossible. Is that scientific? That's impossible, right? There's no way that's possible.
I knew a girl who had a stomach issue though, where her body would digest at like literally snail's pace, and she used to poop every like 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's first of all,
She
go
said
see
it
a
was
doctor.
awful. She said it was terrible. The
Oh my-
doctor couldn't do nothing.
Talk about a doctor can't do anything for that.
She would drink liquids mainly, like liquidous things, because they would digest faster.
This will be under the whatever part of the
Yeah.
the podcast.
I always thought it was
It
weird.
actually is kind of weird. If you're pooping 12 times a year, that would fall under the weird part of the podcast.
Yeah.
But my point being to bringing up that odd example as my buddy's not a liar, and I don't think his girlfriend was a liar, but I still don't believe that.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I think people have to see it with their own eyes.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you saw that, you'd be like, "Oh snap!"
Some people go on faith though. People can take you at face value, or they can believe what you say, I should say, when just going on faith. Not everyone's like that. What's your stance on faith with everything? Are you a believer of faith?
As
And,
long-
and I mean faith, not just in a religious sense, just having a quiet knowing on something that can't be proven.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly believe in faith, and then when you're talking about
Vicky, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt you. Can you please
I know,
speak
I'm
up a
like-
little bit?
right? Not sure because I thought from the beginning my mic wasn't very.
It's not loud. It's
Yeah,
and I can
it's
see
not
on
loud at
the.
all.
Should we change her on that mic, maybe?
Yeah, I can move it. That one might be lower because Virginia is real loud.
The
They might have turned
processing.
it
On,
down.
yeah, let's go ahead and get her on that microphone. Sorry for everyone listening. This is it's part of the game. How about now?
Is this one on? Yeah, this one's on. now.
That's much better. Go ahead, talk for me. Go ahead, talk. Can you talk?
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah. Okay. Now I forgot where I was.
Oh, you're perfect. We're good. We're gonna edit
Yeah,
all this
about
out.
faith.
There you
I mean,
go.
I certainly believe in faith, and you know what? When you're talking about believing somebody who says something, including like myself
Yeah.
about EVPs, it's not worth my aggravation to not believe someone unless it's something that directly affects me. If you said to me that last night a unicorn came to visit me, and you fully believe that, there's no reason for me to prove you wrong.
So if I called you at midnight, I mean, like, and Vicky, I just saw a freaking unicorn. You're not gonna believe this shit. You believe me on that?
I would believe that that's what you believe.
You see that? I've had too many people in my life tell me and say it just like that.
But it's not worth my aggravation to prove you wrong. What's the
But
point?
You have to, but you do. That's that gut intuition that's built with all of us. You have to be able to sense out bullshit sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I
There's
mean-
shit people say to me, and I have to go. All right, my bullshit meter's going off.
Oh, yeah. I
And
literally have
that's
somebody in
important.
my head that says that.
Yeah.
They actually say BS. They say it, so I know.
Well, being a ghost investigator or paranormal investigator, any of the investigating that we're doing, I think you're gonna have to have that kind of sense.
yeah, you have to.
You have to.
Because you have clients that sometimes are not very truthful.
Oh, I can
So
imagine.
you have to
It's
be
like
able to see through that.
every time you go to a doctor and you're like, yeah, no, I've been doing everything right. You're
Well,
like
it's
never
like-
ever flossing.
Or yeah, when you go to a therapist and you only tell them half the shit that you
Yeah.
want to talk, you got to be honest with
They're not
people
gonna
like
help
that.
you.
Yeah, you have to be
Right.
honest with your medical team. Yeah, so the breatharian is something that is kind of a small, as you say, Denny. It's the minority, but it is growing.
Yeah, I saw that like it's got to be like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was just like, what? Especially that Russian lady story. That one was crazy.
What? Okay, I'm gonna shift to the apocalypse. What are your guys?
The 4 horsemen and all.
Well, someone got an email and they said, do you guys have a fear of the apocalypse? Do you think we are living in the end times now? I think about it all the time. Should I worry? Do you guys have a plan if it all goes down? Love to get your thoughts on that. Lena from Port St. Lucie.
Well, my plan is that I want to be lifted up so I won't have to be part of the
Yeah,
really
you wanna
bad
get,
times.
You want to get raptured so you don't have
Yeah.
to deal with the apocalypse.
Well, I
are you
mean-
talking about the apocalypse in the sense that the sun will expand and everybody fries type thing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just because ever since I was a kid, I've always been afraid of the end of the world. And
So how do you envision the end of the world?
I-
What do you think's the leading cause in it?
Well, it's actually one of my top night terrors that I have. It's weird. I've talked about it before. What will happen is I'll start walking up to an apartment building, and I recognize this apartment building from dreams before, and immediately in my head I'm like, oh shit! And what starts to happen is fiery rocks start to come out of the sky. The earth starts to shake a bit. The newscast has fires. Like there's the Statue of Liberty's on fire.
So yours is more like the traditional type apocalypse. Like-
Yes, where
Gotcha.
it's all going down. Shit is going down, and then usually it ends with some big mothership that's there, and then it'll go away. Everything calms down, and then the dream's fine. But the entire time you're walking around, you're waiting. You know, you're looking up in the sky. That's how I picture the apocalypse. But a lot of that is from movies,
Right.
Stuff I've read and stuff people have told me.
See, mine is based on Revelations because I went to church when I was little. So I used to wake up sometimes on Saturday morning. My parents would have left the house and not left me a note or something. My first thought as like an 8-year-old is, oh my gosh,
They've left
Jesus
me.
has come again and I was left behind.
It's horrifying, though.
Getting left behind would be
Yeah.
sketch.
It was scary.
Kevin from the show has the same type of stories. There's that one documentary, Left Behind, and he has the same. As a kid, I was petrified. I remember when they told me that horns might be playing in the sky, and that's one of the.
That's the
Yes.
sign of the apocalypse.
As
yeah.
a kid, I remember I was about 10 years old, and I was outside, and there was horns being played, and I thought it was it. It scared the shit out of me. I thought it was all going down. Is that good or is that bad?
I mean, did it keep you in line?
Yeah, I was to say, did the fear work?
Look at me.
Yeah.
Obviously, no.
But that, I mean, according to the Bible, the worst thing would to be left behind that first, in the first round, the people are lifted, because that's when there's the scarcity of food and you have to have the mark of the beast in order to get your things and all that kind of thing. So if I'm going, I want to go in the first round, not the second round. 'Cause
Okay.
It's scary.
Denny, you don't. I don't know if you believe in Armageddon. You believe Armageddon in the sense that there's going to be a meteorite that hits Earth like it did with the dinosaurs.
Yeah, Armageddon is a little bit different for me. I would imagine, and I don't think it's going to happen in a lifetime. I don't think it's going to happen in the next few lifetimes.
Do you see Earth getting destroyed in the next
At some point,
5,000 years?
years? How many?
5,000?
No,
Longer.
a lot longer. Yeah,
I
Like,
agree with you.
phenomenally longer. But I mean, it has to. Naturally, everything comes to a life and comes to a death. I mean, it's just the cycle. There's no way around it. So eventually, Earth will be done, and we'll be on another planet. I would imagine.
Would you want to live forever?
Hell no.
No.
What would be a comfortable age, do you think? You're like, all right, I had a good round here.
80.
That's my number too. 80. I feel like if I get to my 80s, which I really in my heart don't believe I will, but yeah, 80 is a good run for me. I think if you make it to 80, you've had a pretty good run.
Okay, I have a question for you. Why don't you think you're going to make it? You said you may not make it to 80, but why would you think that you wouldn't?
I think since I was a kid, I've always had an obsession with death. I think a lot of times when you're obsessed with something, you just it's what you think about, and I don't know if I'm gonna. I could make it to 90. I'm going with what I feel because it's what I fear.
Right.
And I think a lot of times what we fear starts to bleed in your psyche. I think that I'm down a kidney. I think that I haven't taken the greatest care of my body. And I mean, not to say that I talk a lot about junk food on the air, but I do eat some healthy things. But I mean, I'm not flawless by any means. I've got heart issues that run in my family. We've got brain issues that run in our family. So with all of that, but I don't look at it as a negative thing. I learned
It's just something to be aware of.
Today's my mom's birthday, actually, and when my mom was on her deathbed, and I know I do talk about my mom a lot, but I talk about my mom a lot, especially about her dying, was because it was a very profound moment in my life where that whole time, my mom being on her deathbed, I learned a lot, and I got the message, holy shit, we are not here for a long time. I mean, it just seemed like yesterday I was 5 years old with my mom. It went by so quick. It went out of the blue, and that can happen to any of us at any given time. So when I do get upset about something that seems a little shallow, which I can fall into that. I mean, I think humans fall into that stuff. I think about my mom, her deathbed, thinking, you know what, I'm on this earth now. I better do what I love to do. That's, not going to hurt anybody, but what's my passion. Don't wait on anything. Definitely do not wait on telling people you love them. Even if it's a friend that, you'd go through a while, let that person know that they really do mean something to you. Just because when my mom did die, she left me a voicemail on Thursday. I'm sorry, she left me a voicemail on Wednesday, and she died on a Friday. On that voicemail, it was the sweetest voicemail. Hey, Jaybird, give me a call. I love you so much. And it was I remember hearing it go, I got to call my mom back. I never called her back, and then she died. So that moment right there was a very profound moment. And I think you can learn a lot about death, and it doesn't always have to be a sad thing. I saw my mom on her deathbed. I said, shit, man, we are only here for so long. Follow your dreams, follow your passion, and let people know you love them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think knowledge is profound. I think you should talk about death a lot more just so that, it's something that nobody is exempt from.
Yeah, and I know it's an uncomfortable subject to talk about. I've even gotten some emails saying you guys talk too much about death. Look, man, that's what... How can you not talk about death? None of us escaped the Grim Reaper.
Right.
You're right.
No one escapes Father Time.
Different cultures handle it differently.
Yeah.
Well, I love the cultures. The West seems to not celebrate death. They seem to mourn it.
We're founded by prudes, people who thought England was too crazy for them. They came over to America to start all over. So we're a little bit different, but yeah, a lot of places celebrate death. Not necessarily that they're excited about it.
No. It's not that. And I'm not saying you can't mourn the death. Of course, I cried like a freaking baby when my mom passed away. But I think you can get into negative town for too long. And I don't think your loved ones would want that. I really don't. When I die, I don't want my loved ones to don't be sad at all.
That's ironic that you say that, because I talked to someone, I think it was last week, and she's been holding on to a death. It was her daughter, and she's held on to it to the point where I said, listen, your daughter, it's like you just took her to Disney World and you're not letting her on the ride. It's time to let her go so she can do what she needs to on the other side. And I hope that put it in perspective for her. She's making her wait because of her grief. Just let her go.
And we all deal with grief differently. I mean, I know for me, talking to my mom or talking to anyone that's passed away that I've had a connection with, lighting a candle and just talking to them in a conversation. Do I know for a fact my mom can hear me? Nope, I have no idea. Does it make me feel better? And do I go to bed a little bit more peaceful at night, thinking she might have? Yeah, I'm going to continue to do that. My mom used to say, fake it till you make it, Fake it till you make it. Whatever gets you through the night until you can address that problem and beat that problem.
And it comes back full circle to you talking about faith earlier. Look at that.
Look at that. Good note, Denny's. But I also think talking about death, spiritualism, lack of spiritualism, I think it all coincides with ghosts, even aliens, because we're all part of it.
Absolutely, we're all in the same gumbo pot.
Same gang, baby.
We're just on different ends.
I just never understood, and maybe people don't talk about death because it is so heavy and it's something you don't want to confront. I get it. People, I can already hear the emails too. You talk too much about death.
Well, people don't want to talk about it because it's a bummer.
But my whole point is, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bummer.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, there's no way somebody that you love is going to die and you're not going to feel bad about it.
Exactly.
It's just how you deal with it, how you're letting it. And actually, that's pretty cool. I never thought about it before, but you're saying the little girl passed away and couldn't go on to the next side because her mother was keeping her back.
Right. It was the grief. She can't go where she needs to until the mother has accepted her death.
So what are the rules on that? Like, what if you have somebody that's like your enemy and you don't even know them, and then you die? Are you like
And they're being a
locked
prick
until
about
there's
it?
like unfinished business is settled? Can I be
That's a great
necessarily.
question.
Could I be held somewhere as a ghost without moving on because of somebody, either a loved one or something that was never said or released to me?
I like to think that love is stronger than hate. So I think if someone hated you that much, I think you could probably let go and just go on to where you're supposed to be. But love, you care about that person who's hurt. You care about them being able to get through it and move on with their life. So you're a little more tied with love than you are with hate.
I could see that.
Yeah, no, I do believe even the most hateful people, if you could strip all that shit away from them that's making them so hateful, and you presented the feeling, not just the concept, but the feeling, they'd have to feel it, experience it, the feeling of love, peace, all of that.
It's much more powerful.
I'd imagine they would want to pick that
Yeah.
if they could feel that. I think some people have been born and raised not to feel love, and they go through their whole life thinking love, it's a myth, it's bullshit, and at that point, it's easier for them to hate, kind of like a Darth Vader. It's easier at that point for people to go on the hateful side.
Well, just like with students, the ones that are going to be your worst behaved, they're the ones that need your love the most. So it's the same way. If all these people that walk around, they're hateful and they do hateful things, something happened to them somewhere.
Absolutely.
And
Agreed.
you just have to get past that, and they have to get past that.
For sure.
But what if that person does something so horrific? Then someone does something horrific. Society says they're an outcast. If you're a murderer, you molest people, you rape people, you're an outcast. You have, for I would say majority of the people on the planet, you have been written off.
Right.
Can you be someone like that, evil, and then all of a sudden change and expect people to forgive you? I don't know if you're gonna ever get that.
I think you could possibly change, but it would be really hard to get people to forgive and forget.
Agree. When you got someone murdering your family member, good luck having them all to go, oh, I forgive you. Not to say that doesn't happen. It does happen.
Right.
I've seen it happen where I don't know if I could be that kind of person. You murder my sister, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go in 3 years to sit down and go, I forgive you. I don't know if I'm that kind of person. And I like to forgive people. I really do. Murder, I don't know, man. Taking your loved one, that'd
Yeah.
be kind of messed up.
It's rough. If you look at it from their angle, like to them, it's almost like that person's not a person. They're kind of just attacking whatever target they picked, and it just happened to be your loved one. So it's like kind of hard to hold some people, obviously they're terrible. And I think, murder is awful. But, I just try to look at it from both perspectives. Obviously, a normal person, it'd be very hard for you to forgive somebody for that.
Well, yeah, I think, yeah, go ahead.
But all I'm saying is that in their perspective, if the only way I would find that I could forgive somebody for killing somebody is to think that to them that person wasn't a person.
Yeah, and I would love to hear people listening's perspective on that subject matter. I've heard too before that people have to forgive for them to move on with their life, and
Right.
that's kind of an ignorant statement on my end, saying that you wouldn't. But that's for me though. It's almost like if someone murdered my family, holding on to that anger would fuel in a good way, if that makes sense. I think everyone's different. I think everyone's different on that kind of stuff.
I know it's easier for me to let go. If someone's upset me or someone's hurt me or made me mad, it eats me up and it gives me such anxiety that it's just easier for me to forget about it and walk away.
That's the Denny's.
No, that's how I do
the
it.
Denny's way.
It just takes so much. It puts you in such a bad mood. It ruins so many things. You can't concentrate. It's easier I try to deal with everything up front.
Yep.
Because I'd rather alleviate any sort of anxiety or awkwardness.
What are the best ghost movies of all time? I don't think we've danced around this conversation. We never delved in. My favorite ghost movie probably is Poltergeist. I love that movie.
Yeah,
I
it's a
love
good
the
one.
original, yes.
And it was rated, I believe, PG.
Yes.
How the hell was that? That thing's horrifying.
Now, I was actually old enough, I saw it in the theaters.
I was not old enough.
I saw it in the theaters, and we sat towards in the back row, and certain parts of it, a couple of my friends actually got up and walked outside. Back then you could look through. I don't know if they
yeah,
have them in
no,
the
I
things.
remember that.
And so they were watching through there, and I actually had a slumber party that night.
How old were you?
We I don't remember what year did it come out.
I believe
Do the math.
1980, 88 or
80?
81.
Okay, I'm old enough. Anyway, so we went back to my house for a slumber party. Of course, the first thing we did was unplug the television.
Yeah.
And then we covered it.
Oh yeah, I can
'Cause
see that.
It was terrifying.
I would say that I would recommend Poltergeist out there because someone did ask what ghost movies you guys suggest for me to watch. I would start off with the Poltergeist. I
Yeah.
think it's solid, man.
Poltergeist is solid.
My most incredible experience, though, at a movie theater with a horror movie was Paranormal Activity, because when the first one
That was
came out,
scary.
well, it was at limited release when it first came out, and you had to do like this online voting for it to come to your theater. Well, there was one down, it was like in Broward County. Every single seat was filled, and every person in that theater was living that movie. If somebody wasn't breathing, no one in that theater was breathing. If somebody jumped, everyone was jumping. We saw that movie as a whole.
Yeah.
Everybody was
It's like a
involved.
hive mind.
But then after it came out, people were spoiling it for other people, so other audiences didn't enjoy it the same way we did.
You thought that movie was weak.
You know what? People loved Blair Witch. I thought it was so overrated.
I
People
liked
loved
that
Paranormal
movie.
Activity. I thought it was good, but I mean, the hype train behind Paranormal Activity. I go, guys, it's a ghost movie.
Yeah, hype train ruins everything.
It,
for
it, it really
movies, though.
does. If you are part of the hype machine, you got to be careful.
Oh, and if somebody says, "Oh, yes, this movie's the best movie ever," now you're like, "All right, this movie better be awesome."
They try to teach you that in radio. They try to teach. I mean, people break the rule, but they always say, don't oversell something and say it's so hilarious. We've got the most hilarious bit coming, because right off the bat, you're gonna get some naysayers that go, "It's not funny, guys. You suck."
Yeah, I thought The Exorcist was mad scary.
That's a good one.
That was a cool one because they re-released it in theaters years later, around like the mid 2000s, and I went and checked it out, and it was the first time that I had seen it in the theater. And they added that one scene where she goes down the staircase backwards, when she's
Oh, yeah.
possessed, and it terrified me. Whatever scene that was, man, terrified me. I was going home that night, and I parked my car, and I opened up the garage, and the garage is open, and I'm sitting in my car. I'm like, oh, I'm going to run to the door because I don't want anything like grabbing my ankles or something as I'm walking in. So I was kind of like a little bit scared. So I run in as the garage is going up, and then I was going to hit it. It says, if you hit my garage before it got to the top, it would go right back down. It was nice and easy. A skateboard had gotten caught on it, and it dropped right behind me, and I jumped so high into the air because I was terrified. But that movie really sat with me because that movie felt like a real thing that could happen. And you find this object over in the Middle East, and you bring it back, and it's got a spirit attached to it.
Yeah.
And it attaches to a little girl.
What are your thoughts on that? You're a believer of things can connect to an object, a
Right.
ghost. And is that how some people? It's almost like bringing roaches into your house.
Right.
Let's say you go somewhere and something attaches to you. You bring that back now to your house. But my
You
question's always been, when they attach to you, is that them like literally hanging onto your skin, and then you walk in and they fall off and like, oh, sweet, I'm in a new place.
Well, the most famous, object attachment is the Annabelle doll, which
Yeah.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
that's a good one too.
And you know what kills me? We were talking about movies. I wish they would make a movie of the actual Annabelle doll haunting, which is how the Warrens got the doll in the first place. That's much better than the stories they've been telling.
The movie was kind of weak, whatever that
Yeah,
one
because it was like telling you how the doll got possessed in the
Mm-hmm.
first place. I think they need to tell the story of the actual experiences that the people had that the Warrens ended up getting that doll.
Maybe I'm thinking of something different. I watched something I thought it was really good. Maybe was it The Conjuring? Have you seen that one?
Oh, yeah.
That is a
So check.
Conjuring is a good.
That's a very
one.
good
That's
one.
a great. That actually might be better than Poltergeist.
And they did a good job with that. And again, that involved the Warrens.
Okay.
So check.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
living in Colorado, and I was working at the Apple Store, and this couple came in, and they were talking to one of my coworkers, and everybody was like gathering around him. I was like, "What's the hype with this couple?" You know. So in the break room, he was telling me that those were the family from the movie The Conjuring.
Oh, really?
The actual real
The
family.
actual like family of some sort of that, and I was like, "Oh, cool." And I didn't really think about it until I saw the movie, and I was like, "Oh, snap!"
Are you able to give us like a 30-second kind of summary about The Conjuring and about the Warrens and all them?
Synopsis.
Well, Ed and Lorraine Warren are the original demonologists. They went throughout the country. They would help people who had what they thought was a demonic haunt in their home, and they would come to try to get rid of it. Lorraine was a sensitive. Ed, dealt more with keeping her grounded and keeping her protected and things like that. And they helped numerous people through the years, and they've had some incredible cases. In fact, one of the ones I posted on your page, the Amityville Horror, they were involved in that one as well.
There's a lot of weird, different theories on that. People think that was fake as shit. What's the deal with that house?
Well, if we were dealing with Ed and Lorraine Warren, they asked Lorraine Warren one time, which case would you not return to if someone asked you? And she said the Amityville Horror, because that's whatever was there stayed with her and affected her for a while. So if you ask them, well, Ed's passed now, but they believed the Amityville Horror to be 100% factual.
I saw that house. I was out on Long Island, and I stopped by there and checked it out. It was pretty cool.
Name dropper. See, that's the kind of house I want to go to for an investigation.
I mean, that
Something
place
where-
is supposedly pure evil.
But I mean, I want to bring the people. But one of my goals now is to try to bring people who are listening to this podcast legit evidence as best as we can. Whether it's a unbelievable EVP, whether it's a something caught on camera, our mission now is to bring something real to the people. Because I mean, all of our conversations are great. And I love us talking, but I want to take our act out to the field now. I want to take this podcast to the next level, do more video stuff, get a more visual element with this podcast, and even start when we get a little bit more organized, because this really is a very brand new project. I know we've done like 11 or 12 of them.
For sure, but I mean, that's still very virgin.
It's very virgin, and it's we want to do a lot more, and there's a bigger vision for what I would like to do with this podcast. So if anyone does have any suggestions of places or anything you'd like to see us do, my goal would be to us getting our shit together, but then inviting some people out
Right.
to come for one of these investigations, because we have a lot of interest in people that want to go out with all of us, explore, see, so they can see it for themselves. But I don't want to make it lame for the people.
Right.
I've done stuff before. You invite people out and it's lame and you feel bad. You want to make it good for them.
Well, I've
So-
actually done it with a few of our listeners. I've met them and given them readings or something. And
I get great
and they've actually gone on investigations with me.
That's
I have
great.
2 brand new team members because of the show.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I get nothing but positive feedback of people that you've been talking to and helping, and that's awesome. Not one negative comment, and even if we get one negative comment, I don't give a shit.
Are we still talking movies or what's
Yeah,
up?
bring it on.
Well, I don't want if we're backing on the end here.
No,
So-
we're not. We're not.
All right.
There are literally no rules of this podcast.
You ever see Frighteners?
With Michael J. Fox,
Dude, that movie is awesome.
that's a great underrated
That's
movie.
a super underrated ghost movie.
You seen that one, Vicky?
Yeah,
that's
it
a
was a
really
long
good
time. Yeah,
So
but
I
liked it.
love that premise. He was a serial killer in his lifetime, and then he was executed. And now, as a ghost, he's trying to continue the numbers so he could beat the record of the previous serial killer. It's pretty awesome.
No, it's a great movie, but then again, hey, it's Michael J. Fox. What does that cat do that's not awesome?
Yeah, it's Michael J. Fox, Che McBride, and what is that? Gary Busey's son, Jake Busey.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good killer.
So we've got Poltergeist you want to check out if you haven't seen it, because some people, believe it or not, have not seen that movie. We have got The Conjuring. I highly recommend.
Conjuring's good.
If you're because it's based on a true story.
It's based on a true story.
I like
Yep.
those very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's well done. But I think it's also part of that Annabelle series. Hello, Angelica, come on in. Is everything cool?
Yeah, I would say, isn't Insidious another one?
Insidious. I have
The
not
same,
seen. I have not seen that one.
From the Warrens. They have that one too, Insidious.
Maybe that's
No,
the
no,
one.
it's
I
not.
know that there's 2 or 3 of
like-
them where they're all. It's part of that Warren couple.
Yeah, Insidious is one that has like 3 movies all
I th-
backed up.
I think I didn't like Insidious as much as I liked
No.
The Conjuring, man.
Conjuring was
Conjuring.
the
I
worst.
kind of go into these ghost movies these days thinking, all right, it's all been done. Conjuring had me on the edge of my
Yeah.
seat, man. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. Now I
Good,
even
good
like
note,
Conjuring
Angel-
2, but other people didn't like
I
it.
didn't like- I didn't like it.
I liked it. It was okay.
Which one?
The Conjuring 2.
Oh, I didn't see it. Is it a sequel to the events of the Conjuring?
No, it's a
1, or
totally
a
different
completely
haunting.
separate
It's a
story?
poltergeist haunting in England.
Oh, are they trying to kick us out, Denny's? Or we have a couple more minutes, you think? We're good? Are we good? All right, we'll
Yeah,
we'll
I
keep
think
going
we're
until
cool.
we get
You guys ever see 13 Ghosts, the last one?
13. I have seen 13
Yes.
Ghosts. It was okay.
The remake or the original?
I saw the original.
So the original one's cheesy when you watch it back now. Like one of the ghosts is just a head that floats around. But the second one I thought was really good. The remake.
Yeah.
So you had a little vindication you'd sent me that the title of this.
As a joke.
Some of Earth's biggest animals were shapeshifters. Please enlighten us on this article.
So I stumbled. I had it
You
in.
got a lot of heat about that.
Looks
by the
like
way.
Denny's isn't so crazy.
Yeah.
Was the header there?
Denny got a lot of heat about him shapeshifting, and people are still sending me stuff about the moon.
Oh yeah. I hear you. The moon landing stuff. I mean, just do your research. But so I found this cool article. Obviously, sea life is equated to space life, only in the sense that people say that there's so much still under the sea that we have yet to have discovered, and not necessarily the final frontier, but still lots of crazy stuff out there. And I'm always looking through articles about sea life and things we discover. Like they got spiders down there, man. Spiders in the ocean that walk around.
I couldn't believe the concept where, and I get that there is alligators in bodies of water, but I usually think of it as a lake or a canal.
For sure,
when they're
man,
in
they
the
go in the
ocean,
ocean.
swimming around, a gator.
Saltwater crocodiles.
I can walk this way, and then there's a shark, and there's a gator. Gators scare the shit out of me.
Oh, they're terrifying. Well, supposedly there's these things, range morphs, which I had not been, read about ever, but they have been around for ever since the beginning of time, essentially. And essentially, what they are animals underwater who will change shape and size based on how they are living in that time. So if it's, I guess you could equate it to like the Galapagos Islands with the finches who fly around and their beaks change shape depending on which island they're on because they had to adapt to the fruit and
So
the surroundings.
it's probably about adapting and also protecting, right? Maybe the reason why is I've seen some of those animals almost shift into something different because they've got a predator after them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's animals that will change shape to
That's
protect
not-
themselves.
that's not what you mean?
No, that's like a armadillo or something will roll up into a ball, so there's no like forceful entry area. But yeah, these will actually change their size and shape based on where they are in the ocean. Some parts of the ocean are vast, so they'll make themselves larger to increase their chances of coming across a mate.
Think about
Is it like a fast change or is it like an adaptation that's over time?
It's an adaptation where, like, say the waters, so, we have global warming and stuff, and the ice caps are melting. Imagine that the temperature of the water increases to where things that require cold water can no longer survive. Those animals will have to, or at least those ones will probably perish. But other animals, rangemorphs and such, will adapt and change so that their bodies are now different so they can adapt to warmer waters.
I always think about the ocean and the stuff that we just don't know about the ocean. I mean, think about all the shit we do not know about the ocean.
Yeah.
The untold secrets of everything could be there. We don't know. We have no idea what's under there. Something so magical underneath the surface of the ocean could lead to who knows what. I know it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But we don't know. It could be the most magical thing that's going on down there.
They just found a sunken like Spanish ship that has like $1 billion worth of gold on it. That's been there. We're in 2017. We've been talking about treasure hunting for ever.
Oh my gosh.
They just found this thing.
Well, think
That's
about
how vast it is.
all the new species that they discover every single year. There's a list of 30 to 40 new fish or type of animal that they never even knew it existed.
How many do you think foreign spacecraft do you see down there? Because you would imagine if a majority of Earth is ocean, if aliens were to visit and have some sort of malfunction or something,
Big theory on
or
that.
got shot down, they go in the ocean.
Well, that's what a lot of people think, actually. They think that UFOs, the reason why you can't find them is because they go right in the ocean. And how do we know that these aliens don't have some amphibian-like lungs or they've
if
got
they're in a craft
Yeah.
that obviously can travel through space, why, obviously can't they go through water?
Would it shock you, Vicky, if they said, okay, under the ocean, there is some type of alien activity? Would that
It wouldn't shock me, but I'm actually scared when I think about what's in the ocean.
Oh, it's
like
terrifying.
deep down. There's very few things that scare me, but the thought of the ocean that actually
is it
does.
just animals, or do you think it could be something that is,
I don't know. There's just something that's always really bothered me about thinking about the really deep in the
And
ocean.
it's horrifying?
We're designed to walk on land and live on land. The water, if you have to survive in water, it's a whole different animal. We are at a disadvantage immediately upon being in water.
Well, out of all the weird stuff we discuss, aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, to me, the one I think is a no-brainer would be the Loch Ness Monster or some type of odd serpent of. How do we
Right.
know that thing doesn't go into some kind of,
And you're
hole on and that leads into another section of
You're absolutely right.
the water that we can't get to because we don't have gills.
Well, so I mean, you could think maybe there was at a point a Loch Ness monster, and then the sightings occurred because like there's plenty of animals that cease to exist that have just devolved essentially. So like that creature may have become extinct. There's plenty of extinct animals.
There's parts of the ocean we can't get to. We just can't. No matter how much equipment you got, there's parts that man cannot get down to see what the hell's going on.
For sure.
How the hell do we know what's going on? That we don't know.
Well, everything that's land right now is essentially the top of a mountain. We're the top of the mountain, so I mean, you got to think it goes pretty deep.
It all blows my mind. Do you guys have anything else to add? I think we're going to have to kind of get going. We've gone 55 minutes. We usually go an hour, but we're kind of running late today.
That's right.
Next week, we'll have Ryan Beckett back. I do want to start really planning, actually doing. We got on the field. We did the promo, which was nice. We all got the Weird and Whatever promo going. Now it's time to do a full-on ghost experience.
And I think we need to look into somebody wrote, I posted the picture of the cups that I made and said, hey, how can I get one of these? Maybe we need to look into a little bit of, merchandising so we can walk around and advertise. I can make those. I have a person who can make the things for your windows.
I think it's a great idea,
cups and
Vicky.
stuff like that.
It's a very dicey situation in these parts just because I'll talk to you about that
Okay.
off the air. I won't bore the audience with the politics of radio and what you have to do. There's always politics, but we will talk about. I think it's a great idea. We'll eventually get to that point, but it may just be a little bit of time. That's all.
So hold off on those cups just a little bit.
But no, it's a great idea. I'm not shooting that down by any means, but there's red tape that I have to go through. That I just Denny's knows what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So go ahead, plug anything you want to plug, Vicky.
Okay, first of all, I want to tell anyone, if you have sent me an email and I have not answered you back, or you think I didn't answer you back, please check your spam folders. Sometimes they end up in spam and you don't realize it. There was someone I've had several people that I answered and they didn't answer me back, so please check that. And if you did email me, it's not in spam, please email me again. Someone said that I need to go a little slower when I say the email address.
Okay.
It's contact@point, POINT, paranormal.com.
And what I would tell to that person, I would say, why don't you rewind your podcast and just listen to it again? You can easily do that too.
And,
Don't be criticizing Vicky.
and that's for if they want a reading. I'm still doing the 15-minute free readings, and if you have an issue in your house as well.
Say it one more time, because I was kind of talking over, trying to make a joke.
Contact@pointparanormal.com. You write out the word point, POINT.
Denny's, what do you got, bud?
At Producer Denny's on Twitter. If you have any questions you ever want to talk about, just send them over my way.
Hey, you never want to talk about life, man. Let's just talk about that.
Yeah, just send it over. I apologize. I get to my I pretty much hit my own social medias about the weekends. During the week, it's all KVJ social media.
Yeah,
so.
I'd rather have you focus on the stuff they send into the show, because that's more. And don't worry about your own personal.
Yeah, or send it. I mean, if you leave comments, we check the YouTube channel all the time.
We
leave
do.
comments in the YouTube channel. You can also leave comments on the podcast as well, whatever you're listening through.
This is a video right now, so if you're listening, you can always go back to the video and just go ahead, hit subscribe. We're trying to grow this thing.
Yep, just check out YouTube. It's under the KVJ show.
So, I mean, to answer your point, the more people that get involved in the podcast that listen to it, the more I'll be able to say we have to start being able to advertise and do all that. And we may be there. Our numbers are very good, and they do. And I'm not saying that to be braggy, but I mean, our numbers are growing every single week, and they're growing actually pretty great. So that's all good problems to have, and we will eventually get to that. So
very cool. Anything?
Yeah, just at Jason Bigfoot. What's the email to KVJ so they can?
You can send it at mail@kvjshow.com, or you could do kvjdenny's@alphamediausa.com, which is a lot longer.
All right, Denny's, play us out, brother. We love you all. We'll talk to you next week, not next year.
We'll be back to normal schedule next week.
I am so tired today, and I can tell by the way I'm talking. I'm so tired. We love you all, and
Bigfoot is real.